Welcome to the Strength for Life podcast, where smart strength training meets real life. We're Dr. Matt and Nicole Klingler, founders of Village Fitness and Physical Therapy. Here, you'll learn what really works in the gym, at home, and for life.
Today, we're going to talk about the 5 types of exercisers who don't build muscle. So if you've ever been working out consistently and maybe you feel like you're not making progress, or you're confused why maybe your body composition hasn't changed at all, there's a lot of factors that go into it. But one of it is that you might just be doing some of the wrong things, or you're going to the gym and not doing enough of the right things, or not going about it in the right way. And so today we're going to break down 5 archetypes of people who make this mistake in the gym and really want to build strength and they want to put on muscle, but they're frustrated because they can't. So the 5 names, which I came up with, Matt helped me with this, are Cautious Carl. We've got Winging It Willy. We've got Pink Dumbbell Paige, Flaky Frankie, and Bootcamp Becky.
Freaking Becky.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and break down these 5 archetypes, and maybe you can relate to one of them as we go. So first up, we've got Cautious Carl. This is the person who shows up consistently and, is still doing the workouts, but they also are very afraid of getting hurt. They're very risk adverse. They're more concerned about safety and not doing anything to get injured. And they would rather undertrain and play it safe than overdo it. So they're usually very still consistent. But the second something feels a little bit hard or stressful, they often back off.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are, the people who will use the same weights for months. Like we one time.
Or years.
Yeah. Had a client who just didn't want to progress and was afraid of squats. And so this person stayed at literally a 10-pound dumbbell for squats for 2-3 years, and was so afraid of hurting her knees. And so, these are the people that I think, are just more afraid than anything. And often they have been injured before. So they have come in and they have hurt their back or their knees. And so they're just overly cautious. And that really is, preventing them from putting on muscle. They'll often believe that any type of discomfort means that they're at an increased risk for injury, and they probably have a harder time deciphering the difference between discomfort and an injury. So why would you say this doesn't build muscle, or why is this person going to have a hard time putting on muscle?
Yeah. So anytime you expose your body to a stress, it will adapt to the stress, but only if that stress is sufficient to push your body into adaptation. So early on, it takes much less of the stress to force adaptation. But as you get fitter, it takes progressively more stress to produce adaptation. Just like, getting a suntan. It's like you go out in the sun for 5-10 minutes, you actually might develop a little bit of color on your skin. But over time, it's like 5-10 minutes is just not going to be enough to do anything else. So you'll stay at that same kind of level of skin pigmentation. It's the same thing with strength training. It's like you're going to stay at that same level for a really long time. And it's going to be tough to push further without more, either more weight, more reps, more volume. Something has to budge to start to drive the needle forward. And so I think I have a few clients in mind that have been like this, that have been like, I'm not deadlifting more than 100 pounds. I'm just not going to do it. Like, and you'll try and push them, be like, hey, you can totally do it. And they're like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. And like, if you dig into it, it's usually like you said, it's like, I'm worried about hurting myself. That is the most common thing that I hear lately. I think early on in my career, I used to hear more, I'm worried about getting bulky. I actually don't hear that as much from our clientele. I think our clientele are progressively less concerned about their look as they get older. They're less concerned about vanity as they age and more concerned about, how does my body function?
Totally.
Does it do the things I want it to do? So anyway, so I hear more about that. Like, I'm worried about hurting myself if I push more than this. But you'll watch them lift and it's like, oh, you're not pushing yourself at all. And what's really interesting is most of the time when people hurt their back, the single most common thing I hear as a physical therapist, I was lifting a laundry basket I've heard it like 100 times in my 10-year career as a PT. I don't know what it is about laundry baskets. I think it's because people don't brace their core and they just kind of lift it a willy-nilly, to use a technical term. and like I've heard it so many times. I'm like, what is going on? But when you deadlift, you have to focus 100% of yourself on lifting the weight, or when you squat or when you overhead press. In our program, like, we demand that people do it right. We demand that they breathe correctly, that they brace, that they are fully focused on the lift. And that really reduces the risk of injury.
Yeah. And often when people do get injured, it's, there's a plethora of reasons for why they would get injured. However, they often are usually being a little more aggressive. And so they're making a bigger jump than they should. So instead of, going up by like 1 to 5 pounds, they might be going up by 10 pounds, or they took a week or two off, or
there's warning signs too. So I think that's a big thing for people. It's like, most of the time when people, usually it's like things start to hurt and they don't feel good. And then you hurt yourself, or you're really sore and you work out the same muscle group again, and then you hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when people do injure themselves, it's pretty inconsequential. It's like a small muscle strain. Things are extra sore for a little bit. And then they go away. Like, I was just chatting with a guy. He started our program maybe 2 months ago, and he saw me for back pain before he got into the program. We got him to the point where he's feeling really good. He got about 2 months into his deadlifts, and he was like, my back was extra sore today. What should I do? He texted me. I was like, you should back off by, I don't remember exactly what I told him. It was like 20 or 30% and go again. Or you could even skip deadlifts for a week and just, give your body extra time to heal and recover, and then go at it again. And he did, and he's fine.
So what would you recommend Cautious Carl should do instead of, staying at the same weight for months or years?
Carl, come on. You should slowly and steadily add some weight to the bar. Now, I think you should use perfect form. I definitely don't think Cautious Carl should be doing squats where their spine position isn't held rigid, or deadlifts where they're, rounding their back as they go up. Because I think the fact of the matter is, like, if you watch the heaviest deadlifts in the world, they're doing them with a flex spine. I would argue that that's probably not a beneficial thing to be doing a really heavy deadlift with a flex spine. We could debate that, but overhead press, I see a lot of people arching their back when they press, using their knees to do the press. And it's like, well, now you're just you're lifting more weight than you probably should be, and might be, setting yourself up for increased risk of injury. So I don't think Cautious Carl's going to get there. They're going to use perfect form, but I would say, hey, let's start to slowly add. Maybe for Cautious Carl, to make him or her feel better, we could go slow with our progression. Like, we don't need to jump up by 5 or 10 pounds every workout. We could jump up by a pound.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Something, Carl.
I was like, I think that's the biggest, like, if this is something you've struggled with, or if you do have a lot of fear around weight training, like, one, make sure that you have someone that is watching your form, because it's like, you can't see yourself. And so it is very helpful to have a coach, no matter what level of lifting. Even if you've been doing it for years, sometimes you're compensating and you don't realize it. Or sometimes, you might be like overusing, one side of your body, and that's kind of going to lead you to those imbalances, could lead you to an increased risk of injury. But I think a lot of it is just making sure that you progress some. And so that even could be a half pound. Like, it can be so small, but every single time you work out, you should be going up a little bit, and knowing too, like, that consistency, like, even if you went up by a half pound, every week, and you did that for, 50 weeks, it's like you'd still increase your squat by 25 pounds. And if you're doing it with great range of motion like that, the likelihood of injury with that, I think, is so low.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, maybe you don't progress 5 pounds every week. You just do a half pound or a pound a week, and you'll still see a lot more progress than if you just stay at the same weight forever. And again, it's something is better than nothing. So if I had to say someone squat every week with 10 pounds, like over not squatting 100%, they should do the squat with the 10 pounds. However, I think they're going to get frustrated and not really see, like, it's just not going to be worth your time to do that if you're just never going to progress.
Yeah.
So
can I go to number 2?
Yeah. So number 2 is winging it, Will. So
I thought I was winging it, Willy.
Winging it, Willy.
Yeah, that's who you said at the start. You said Willy.
Oh, did I? Oh,
yeah.
winging it,
yeah,
Willy.
You did.
I like Willy better. So winging it, Willy. This guy has the opposite problem. He is very dedicated.
First off, he's named Willy. I think that's where we should start. I think that's probably the root of his problem.
Hey, what if someone is listening to this as the name Willy? All right. You know, you never know.
They probably go by Will.
It's true.
Or Bill or William. Their friends call him Willy.
Oh my gosh. So this is probably the person that is like the most dedicated guy in the gym. And you'll often see these people in an open gym setting, and they are usually there every single day. They're there. When I worked at the Claremont Club, there was legitimately a guy who was there for 4 hours. He would be there for half of my shift because I was, there for 8 or 9 hours. He would be there for 4 hours every single day, and no plan, just whatever machine was open, just went and did it. He did a lot of half pull-ups or chin-ups. He did a lot of quarter squats, just kind of he'd go over to the adductor machine and do some very rigorous adductor movements. And it was just whatever was available, he just did it. And then he would go and chat with people. And, they think that as long as I'm there and doing something, I'm going to build muscle. And I would argue again, something is better than nothing. But you're really going to have a hard time if you don't have a plan and you're not progressing from week to week.
Yep.
And sometimes these people also believe muscle confusion is a good thing. I've heard that term, not as much recently, but it's good to confuse your muscles. And that's not true. Or they say things like variety keeps the body guessing. So why is this not true?
Well, we've talked about the muscle confusion thing on the podcast before, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Tony Horton, P90X guy, he created this phrase muscle confusion. And it's basically the premise that in order for your muscles to grow, you need to keep them guessing and give them new and unfamiliar stimuli. That they can adapt to. And that's just, it's just not true. Mm-hmm. What actually leads to muscles getting stronger is giving them the same exercise repeatedly over time, but increasing one variable. So it could be increasing the weight that you're using, increasing the reps, increasing the number of sets, something, even increasing the range of motion, something that's going to cause adaptation to be further to drive something that's going to provide more of a stress to drive more adaptation. So I feel like I'm saying the same things as I was for Cautious Carl, but it's really the same stuff. It's like this guy, maybe Cautious Carl is not doing enough of, the exercises that he should be doing. He's doing consistent exercises. This guy's just doing a bunch of random exercises. Mm-hmm. And what happens is your body adapts and you super compensate after a training bout, meaning you're stronger for a period of time. But if you don't apply the same stress or stimulus again in a reasonable amount of time, you're going to go back to baseline. And so Winging It Willy is probably going back to baseline before he does his next workout. Yeah. Unless he's doing all the same random things, like if he's hitting that adductor machine, every time he's there and doing it progressively with more weight. I doubt he was. No.
I think it was just kind of whatever was available. So Winging It Willy should, instead of just winging it, they should pick a plan. And I would say, you really want to stay on a program for at least 6 to 8 weeks to actually see progress. Mm-hmm. And then you also have to take into consideration, sometimes you're going to miss, you'll go on vacation, but I think it's 8 weeks would be the minimum of staying with something consistently to give your body time to adapt. And then, maybe you do switch it up or you change some of the exercises. But this person is going to, they're not going to see the same progress in building muscle if they're just changing the variables every single time.
This was actually, so one of the problems we used to have with our strength training program at Village pre-2020 was that we changed everything every month.
We did. It was a lot of work too.
So we only had one small group studio. Now we have 2 in Glendora, 1 in San Marino. So we have, way more clients we had back then. But in our one small group studio, we had 2 squat racks in one part of the room. We had a pull-up bar and resistance bands in another part of the room. And then we kind of had our dumbbell area, and we had some rowers. And so I think we had all the right equipment, but we would have people kind of rotate. And we were deathly afraid of people getting bored. So we would mix it up every month.
Yeah.
So I remember one month we did all resistance bands.
I wonder whose idea that was.
Oh, man. Dr. Eric, who's had a major role in creating our 12 movement standards, he formalized the idea of like, these are going to be our 12 exercises. And he's actually in charge of our programming of our fitness program at Village. But he used to be really into resistance bands.
So we had a whole month. It was like all resistance band exercises.
Which is impossible to track.
Yeah.
Like, there's no tracking it. And we used to have these iPads on the wall where we would have people go, and we decided it was a good idea to put them really close together so they were impossible for more than one person.
It was really small, so it was hard to read.
Because that's what we could afford, was the tiniest iPads. And so clients hated it.
Oh, yeah. And they wouldn't track their progress because it was too challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it wouldn't have been challenging, it's like, well, we're doing squats this month, but next month we're doing barbell squats this month. Next month we're doing goblet squats. Yeah. The month after that, we're not squatting at all.
Yeah.
So, well, how do you know? Yeah. And so now we have 12 exercises. We track all 12 every single time that we do them. We don't do them all every single workout or even every single week, but we do them consistently. And so I think there's a case to be made for, somebody could get bored doing this, but it's just so dang effective.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's the thing. It's like, the novelty, it's like, there are going to be some people where like, that's the most important thing. But I think pretty quickly people realize that novelty is not going to get them the results and the strength that they need long-term. And they're going to just kind of plateau and they'll be frustrated. And I think that's what Winging It Willy will experience, is that, like, they might be very dedicated and consistent, but that structure is going to lead to them not actually building strength and building muscle. Next up, we have Pink Dumbbell Paige.
PDP.
Pink Dumbbell Paige. So this is most likely a woman. There could be men that like pink dumbbells, but Cooper refuses to use the pink dumbbells we have in our garage. Yeah,
raised him right.
So our daughters do sometimes use the pink dumbbells.
I got Cooper out here this morning doing. We did barbell deadlifts this morning.
That's awesome.
I did 35 pounds with him, and then I had him do barbell overhead press.
Great.
With a 15-pound bar.
Okay. That's great.
He wanted to do more, and I was like, dude, your form looks atrocious. It's like, I'm not letting you do more.
Meanwhile, Chloe's progressing a little bit every week, and she's no longer using the pink dumbbells. Claire still uses them sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Pink Dumbbell Paige.
Real quick. And he did squats today with a bar on his back.
Wow.
He did barbell squats. Yeah. He's got some things going on in his squat. He's moving in all kinds of directions that I don't want to see people moving, but I'm like, okay, all right. Just encourage him. Make this fun, but I can't unsee what I've seen.
Oh, man. Back to Pink Dumbbell Paige.
Our kids are going to be so jacked up.
I know. But they won't be using pink dumbbells for long.
No. They're going to have so much to talk to their therapist about one day.
One of which is that my mom and dad used to make me workouts every morning. It's only 5 minutes, and it's really not big. Chloe loves it. Chloe usually asks if she can do it first thing when she gets up.
Well, she's sick and twisted.
So back to Pink Dumbbell Paige. This is, again, most likely a female, and they use words like I want to tone, or I want to lengthen or sculpt, and they often gravitate towards things like Pilates or bar classes or things that use a lot of light dumbbells. They also often associate heavy lifting with getting bulky, and they really are more focused on workouts that probably feel like they get a burn rather than workouts that actually build muscle and strength. The big differences too between Pink Dumbbell Paige and Cautious Carl is that Carl is really afraid of getting hurt and not afraid of necessarily like building strength, and they want to build strength and muscle. Whereas I think Pink Dumbbell Paige more avoids heavier loads out of the belief that it's not going to give her the physique that she wants. So this, would look like using, those pink 2-pound dumbbells forever, doing a lot of high reps, and, talking about lengthening your muscles. And they often believe that high reps mean more defined muscle, and they just are misinformed. So why do high reps and using very light weights not build muscle? I know we already kind of talked about this, but why do muscles not get long and lean?
Yeah, well, muscles don't change their length. That would be very
important.
bad. Yeah. I mean, we dissected a cadaver and it's like in PT school, it's like, okay, the origin where the muscle starts and the insertion where it ends or vice versa. It's like, it's fixed.
Yeah.
It's not going to change. So I don't think people are talking about actually lengthening their muscles. I think they're talking about not changing their muscle and getting skinny.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think they're more concerned about having muscle mass and then losing body fat so that you can see the muscle definition. Yeah.
They should be concerned about that. So
totally.
Yeah, it's really difficult to build enough muscle that you will see a change. And what I mean by that is it's tough to get to the point where you look like you're bulky with just muscle. Now, putting on a bunch of body fat because you're eating too much or you're eating a caloric surplus, that's one thing.
That's not that hard to do.
Yeah, it's not that hard to do, especially in today's age of ultra processed food.
Yeah.
But I think that, building muscle is tough. It takes a lot of volume of training. It takes really consistent training, and it probably takes a caloric surplus to do it. So you kind of need to be, it doesn't happen by accident.
No.
I know, especially for females. Females have a harder time building muscle compared to men, specifically upper body muscle due to hormonal differences.
And where our weight is distributed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would just say, man, you're very unlikely to build a bulky body. In fact, we look at our clients, it's like, I don't think any of them have gotten big and bulky, especially females. Like some of the men have put on, a good amount of muscle. But yeah, and our training, in general, the program that we do is 3 to 5 reps for the big lifts. Most of the hypertrophy or muscle bulk, theoretically, according to the research, happens in slightly higher rep ranges, like 8 to 15 or so. There is some hypertrophy that's going to happen at the even very low rep ranges, all the way down to 1. But yeah, we don't see our clients get bulky for sure.
No.
So anyways.
Yeah. And I think that, again, back to, they're more concerned about building strength and having muscle and stronger bones than they are about, looking bulky. And so Pink Dumbbell Paige, instead of lifting, light weights forever that, for 20, 25 pounds. It's funny. I saw when I was in Mexico, a couple weeks ago, I saw a girl that was using pink dumbbells. And this is what gave me the idea for this. She had a pink outfit on, matched her shoes with her shorts and her sports bra. And I just was like, man, this girl, she was in the gym longer than I was. So I ran and I lifted, and she was there longer than me the whole time. And she just used the same 5-pound dumbbells for everything she did. So she was doing, rows and tricep kickbacks, and like she was putting in so much work. And I just was thinking, like, this is just not going to get you the results that you want long-term. Like, you're really wasting a lot of your time. And maybe she's on vacation. She's like, I have all the time in the world. Doesn't matter. But the reality is like, most people don't have an hour and a half to 2 hours to be in the gym to just do like so many exercises. And I really think she had the belief that was going to be the thing that gave her, more muscle and tone. And if she had just, switched to, the 15 or the 20-pound dumbbell for her rows and then slowly gone up, like, she would have to be in the gym less time. She'd have to do less reps, and she'd see a lot more progress in building muscle and strength than if she just stayed with those same 5-pound dumbbells for all of her workouts. Yep. So next up, we're going to transition to Flaky Frankie. So Pink Dumbbell Paige trains consistently, but Flaky Frankie does not, AKA his name. So they don't actually stay consistent long enough. And these are genuinely, this is usually the person that is like, I love working out, and I really want to see the results. However, they are very quick to jump ship, and they use terms like, I got to get back on the bandwagon. And, I'm going on vacation for a couple weeks and then I'll get back into it. Or like, oh, I've got to take care of, we hear this, and this is legitimate. Like, oh, I've got to take care of my mom, or I've got to do these things. And they really let life circumstances dictate whether or not they work out and take care of themselves. And, they often have like a really good streak, and then they let something kind of derail them, and then they don't come back in for a while. They're often also, this person is often usually frustrated because they aren't seeing the strength in their lifts that they want to, and they're not putting on muscle. And I think they have a hard time understanding that just like showing up consistently is way better than just like going all in for a couple weeks and then backing off and not doing anything for a couple weeks. Yeah. So you want to explain why this isn't great for building muscle?
I mean, I think this one's self-explanatory. I would say that the people that I find that are really successful in really any endeavor, but specifically with getting stronger, are those that find a reason to do the thing as opposed to an excuse not to. They find a way.
Yeah.
We had a client that he and his wife are both clients of ours. They just went to Hawaii for a month. And they go to Hawaii for a month, I think a couple times a year. And they found a gym there. I think they found an Anytime Fitness, and they went, I think he told me they went 2 days a week, and he came back and he was stronger than when he left.
That's awesome.
It's like, that's so cool. But I think a lot of people are like, I've got this trip, I can't exercise at all. And I think that there's a time and a place. Like we went on a ski vacation earlier this year, and I decided that was going to be my week off of training. It's like, I'm just going to ski, enjoy myself. And I think that's fine. It's not like in the big picture that's going to affect me, but I think in fact, that can be even a good thing, is to take periodic breaks. There's research to show that people that take time off intermittently do better than those that are always exercising.
Totally.
However, we're talking about the person that's really inconsistent. Like over the course of a year, they're training, maybe 3 months out of the year.
I mean, even 6 months if they're.
And again, the physiology is that they will de-adapt, go back to baseline, and over time, they'll probably get weaker instead of stronger.
Yeah, I think they have they have the stimulus of working out, then they have a long gap and their adaptation stalls. And so like every time they start over, it's like they're restarting over and they get more sore. They also they're going to have a hard time really doing progressive overload if they're taking large gaps. And so they're not going to get that like benefit of strength training of like consistently doing it 2 to 3 times a week. I think instead of going really hard for 2 to 3 weeks or a month and then taking a month off, the person would be a lot better off maybe doing less, but more consistently. So like maybe 3 days a week isn't feasible, but they could do 2 days a week of strength training, and they could figure out how to make that work even in the midst of, traveling and taking care of, their aging parents, because the stopping and starting is way harder on their body. It's also hard to know what weight to come back at. I think that's a big thing, is like, you're more likely probably to get injured as well, because you come back and you think like, well, I did this a couple weeks ago, and so I should just be able to do this. I had this happen with someone who took the whole month off, and he came back and he told me, he was like, I'm going to go up by 5 pounds. Cause that's what, my coach had said last time. It was like in January. And I was like, well, that was over a month ago. He's like, yeah, I can do it. And I was like, I would recommend that you do the same weight, or even maybe a little bit less than you did a month ago, because you've taken a whole month off. But let's warm up and let's see how you feel. Well, sure enough, he gets to his last warm up set, and it's less than what he even did for his target set previously. And he was like, oh, this is plenty. Like, I'm already feeling it. And again, it's because the month off, it's like, it's not that he's starting from ground zero. Like, he obviously was still had some of the strength, but it's like, you just can't progress in the same way as when you're consistently doing it week after week.
Yeah.
So last but not least, we have Bootcamp Becky. And Bootcamp Becky. Oh my gosh. If you're from the 90s, there's a song that references her, and it's hilarious. Anyways, so Becky is someone who loves high intensity. She's the person that goes all out every single workout. She's all about calories burned, heart rate being maxed out, more sweat, and things like the harder the better. And they often associate soreness with effectiveness, which we know research shows that is not the same thing as an effective workout. And unfortunately, she trains really hard, but she is probably either overtraining. She also could be more likely to get injured. Often these people get overuse or chronic injuries. And they are not really going to put on muscle long-term. And again, I think this is one of those things where it's like, is this better than doing nothing? Absolutely. And can there be some benefit from maybe doing a boot camp style workout, like 1 or 2 days a week? Definitely. Like if you're looking for something in addition to doing strength training. And I would even say I think it's fun. I think that's why a lot of people do this, is like the high intensity, the music, the sweating, like you get the endorphins after, and people enjoy this type of working out.
Yeah. I want to be really clear, and transparent. We have done Orange Theory. We've done Fit
Body Boot Camp. Once F45.
F45. That's what I was thinking.
45. Yeah.
We did Barry's boot camp for a year.
We did. It was fun.
It was really fun. And I think each of them, I can appreciate them I consider myself a fitness connoisseur, not a snob. So I can appreciate each of them for what they are, but they are not for building muscle, especially not type 2 muscle. And there's a difference between type 1 and type 2 muscle. Type 1 is your endurance-based muscle fiber. And Becky is going to build probably some type 1 endurance-based muscle fiber. Like if you look at a cyclist that, or a runner, it's like they have some definition usually in their legs, because that's what they train. Their arms are usually really skinny and looking like frail looking. Their legs usually they look like somewhat muscly. That's type 1 muscle fiber for the most part. Endurance based, it's smaller. It's designed for high repetition movements over a long period of time. That's what Becky's going to build. The type 2 muscle fiber, which is actually the one that we lose a lot more rapidly with age, that is associated with mortality, that we really need to preserve and even regain if we've lost it. That's just not going to get stressed by boot camp style training. It's not going to get stressed by light dumbbells. It's not going to even be sufficiently stressed to adapt enough if you're inconsistent in your training. It's like, you've got to be consistent. You need to do movements that are heavy and challenging and progressive. They get progressively harder over time. More weight, more reps, more range of motion, more volume. And you do the same movements, like if you really want to build type 2 muscle fiber. Yeah. So sorry,
and
Becky.
I think this is why you see like sprinters, they often, cap out, like especially at the elite level, like in the Olympics, it's like you don't see people in their, 40s and 50s and 60s, like being able to compete at an elite level in sprinting. And often sprinters have much more muscle mass, right? Like they've got usually more upper body mass. Their legs are significantly larger than the people that are long distance runners. And long distance runners, because it's type 1 muscle fiber that they're using predominantly, they're able, like you don't lose that as quickly as you age. And so you'll see people that are able to compete at an elite level with long distance running a lot longer than someone is able to do sprinting. Yeah. But again, like Matt said, it's like the type 2 muscle fiber is the one that you want to preserve and is going to have a lot more carryover to maintaining independence and strength, and just giving you a lot of the benefits that people are looking for with building muscle long-term. Yep. Not to say you don't want type 1 muscle fiber, but type 2 muscle fiber is a lot more important to train, and your body also gets rid of it a lot more quickly. Like it'll convert type 2 to type 1 muscle fiber if you're not giving it a reason over time to maintain. So in closing, what are some of the common things that you would say all of these people are missing?
Oh, I just gave my closing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They need, they need progressive overload strength training. They need to be consistent. And they need to go up over time, but slowly. I think that's the big thing. It's like, do the same exercises, make sure they're big compound lifts, like squats, deadlifts, presses, bench press, rows, pull-ups, push-ups. Like those should be the bulk of your training. Yeah. And then go up slowly over time. Yeah.
So I'm curious, which one of these 5 archetypes have you fallen into at some point in your life?
Oh, that's interesting. I think I've been a Bootcamp Becky before. I mean, if I was to add another one, it'd be like Cardio Cameron.
You don't identify with Bootcamp Becky?
Yeah, no. There was a time there's been multiple times in my life where I've gotten really into an endurance-based sport and just stopped strength training. When we first met, I got really into bike racing and I had like almost completely stopped strength training, lost a lot of my muscle. Now I was in my early 20s. So it's like you just kind of hang on to muscle at that point. And so I didn't lose that much. But then I kind of did that again in my late 20s, like after PT school, maybe, I think it was after PT school. And I look at pictures of myself back then and I weigh a pretty similar amount, but I think I had a lot more body fat and a lot less muscle back then. So it is really interesting. It's like, that's cardio. And we now have an InBody at Village, which tests muscle and body fat. So it's super interesting to be able to see that data, but I wish I had that data from back then.
Yeah.
Because I weigh about the same as I did back then, but it would be interesting to see like, well, how much muscle and fat did I actually have?
I like the muscle mat version of now. That's what, so he coaches Little League baseball, which is a much bigger deal than he lets on. And
I feel like I've let on to how big of a deal it is.
Okay. It's a big deal in the Nick Klingler household. And the other coaches nicknamed him Muscle Matt.
One coach.
But now they call you that.
No.
Which is a good, I feel like an accurate nickname.
Yeah, so, there's another coach though he
actually probably does have more muscle than you.
Way more. He was telling me that he benches 315 pounds and he's also about to run a marathon.
Dang.
Yeah, he wakes up at 2 a.m. and he said, I first thing I do is I eat 8 to 10 miles before breakfast. I was like, well, you eat them? He's like, yeah, I eat them. It's like, all right, that's another level. I don't know if I've ever eaten any miles. Usually I eat food and I do my workout.
Oh my gosh. So
Anyways,
great. Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Man.
Well, it's been a very cool episode. I think this will be really helpful for people to kind of identify, well, maybe that is the reason why I'm not building muscle, and gave them some really practical, actionable steps to change.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening.